for the best coverage of the Utes and Cougars as they get ready for the 2025 season.
Ready?
You're locked on to Big 12 Media Day coverage, live from Frisco, Texas. Presented by Window World. Want a window quote without all the baloney? High quality, amazing prices. Check out Window World today. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
JJ and Alex live from Big 12 Media Days right here in Frisco, Texas at the Star. Thanks for being with us on the program. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. The passing of Frank Layton has hit us on the show today quite hard. We had Big T Thurl Bailey. If you missed that conversation with Big T, that's a guy who has meant a lot to this Utah Jazz program. Coach Frank Layton over the years. Those first two seasons where you're like, how are they going to make this thing work? And you start talking about how payroll was even difficult to come by.
It was bad.
And then they go to the conference semifinals year 3, to go to the conference semifinals year 4, to go to the playoffs again in year 5, and to stack up all of those Hall of Fame draft picks over time. It's been phenomenal to see, and Frank Layton, apart from that, was always available to be able to have a media interview with, and was fine to
think
talk
of a
about
greater community ambassador.
No. Listen,
than Frank Layton.
We're in an era now, and we're at a place now too, where guys are walking right past you, and you go, "Coach, can I get?" And then they're like, "No."
Yeah, you experienced that the last 2 days.
PR guys walk straight past you with the guys while they're here to represent their school, and they go, "Where are you guys out of? Salt Lake?" Yeah, we don't play you guys till week 10, I'll call me and we'll get on before the season. It's like, yeah, right. Yeah. Or before the game. Yeah, right. Frank Layton, on the other hand, was, I'll be there. Let's talk about it. Yeah, I'll come in. And then there's the work that he did, the charity work that he did, the Boys and Girls Club affiliation. Phenomenal stuff that we're going to miss him for. But Frank Layton passes away at the age of 93. That news hit us today while we're here in Dallas. And if you want to listen to the conversation we had with Big T Thurl Bailey about 15 minutes ago, you can go onto our podcast platform and take a listen, or wherever you find your podcast. Our program brought to you by G2G Bars, and also this hour brought to you by the good folks at the Doug Smith family of dealerships at American Fork, Spanish Fork, and in Linden. Nobody knows cars like Doug. And we didn't get to chat with Dave Aranda, who's the head coach of Baylor. And the Baylor Bears are interesting because that's one of those teams. We're starting to see a theme here, right, JJ? You go, look at these guys who struggled to start the season, figured it out by the end, and it was like it wasn't just close games at the end of the year. They were winning against teams. In Baylor's case, they won 6 in a row before they got to their bowl game. But I will tell you, it was Baylor. TCU had a really, really good – Sonny Dykes came on and he goes, I hated the way we started. We didn't deserve to win any of those first 3 games. They gave up 12 turnovers in 3 games. He goes, yeah, we stunk. And then they turned it around. Kansas ruined a bunch of good teams at the end of the year, their seasons. So many teams are on the edge and have the talent to do it. This is Coach Dave Aranda from the Baylor Bears, a team that is one of those that you got to watch out for, and I think that has moved up a lot of our polls this year, at least our informal KSL Sports Poll, if you want to go take a look at it for the Big 12. Here's Coach Dave Aranda for the Baylor Bears from the podium today at Big 12 Media Days.
Yeah, I wanted to start just by acknowledging and commenting on just the flood and just the travesty there in just Central Texas, and so just so affected by that. I just as a parent, I know a lot of you guys are the same way. Is that you think of, I remember when my little girls were going to camp, and just the build up to it and the anticipation and the nervousness and then the excitement, and then when you drop them off, it's kind of scared, and then it ends up being so good, and then just, I initially think of it like that. I think of it through that lens, and then I learned more about the little girls that passed away and the little girls that are missing, and it's a parent's worst nightmare, and it's it's beyond tragedy. And so just this last couple of days have just really been struggling with that. And my wife and I have been just keeping up with it. And I just wanted to say that, my heart is broken, and, the girls and the families affected are in my thoughts. I'm hopeful maybe football can be somewhat of a distraction here coming up when we get to Saturdays in the fall. And so, from all of this, I feel good about the direction of the team. It's a talented team, and it's a hard-working team, and it's a team that's hungry. I think it's a team that is really vying and working hard for respect. And so from the very beginning in January, there's been some additions from the portal and the high school class, and there's been a few changes on defense with the staff, and the gelling of all that's been really strong. I think there's been really strong qualities that each individual's brought, and we've tried to identify that early and then kind of cater everything to flowing that way so that those people are in their best spot to do what they do best. I feel that that's on track. I think it's a challenging schedule for us, and what we've got to be able to do is be detailed and be consistent and be disciplined. And so our focus is really in those areas. And there's ways that we can achieve that here in the summertime and in fall camp, and our focus is totally that way. We're looking forward to a really positive season and starting off the season strong. Take any questions you guys got.
All right, we'll open it up to questions for Coach. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and we'll have a microphone holder go to you. We'll go to the center left in the back.
Hi, Coach. Here in the back, Shaji Adam, KX6V, ABC 25. You talk about the season. You're going to open against Auburn on a Friday. So what does it mean to you that you get to be part of something like that? And how much has the conference grown since you started at Baylor?
We're excited for that first game. I think that, it's going to take a really, really detailed and focused approach to be in some big moments in that game and to win those moments, put us in a position to win the game. I think there's got to be growth from where we were just, a couple months ago versus our bowl opponent to this one. And so we're going to be in some similar spots, and the outcome's got to be different. And so excited for that opportunity. I know that there's great player-led leadership on this team, and I really feel that is being driven by knowing what the schedule is and kind of where the start of all of it is. And they're really focused on holding a really strong standard in just whatever the process is, whatever the day-to-day is up to bat. And then, I feel really strong about the conference. And so, our schedule is an example of it. You look at just the amount of teams we're playing that have got quarterbacks that are just so difficult to contain, and you got defenses that are so pressure heavy and disguise their looks, and you've got the schematics on offense are just at the forefront of college football, and the tough road environments and just all of it. And I think it's you look at every Saturday, it's a toss-up in terms of who's going to come out. And so I'm looking forward to that. I know it's going to take the best that we got, and we're looking forward to give that.
Center left.
Bryce Cherry, Waco Trib. Dave, obviously y'all had a tough situation this offseason with the loss of Alex Foster. I was just wondering how you tried to rally the guys together after that tragedy, and how are they doing, and how do you guys try to, remember him this upcoming season?
I think it's very hard. I think you, or we'll say me, I know that life is not fair. I think if someone were to ask me that in just passing, I would acknowledge that. But then, here's Alex, and here's just a gentle giant, such a humble heart, always wanting to please, always wanting to do right, to do good, always on the side of encouragement. There's not really like a mean bone in this boy's body. And then for it to kind of go the way that it went, it gets you mad because it's not fair. And I don't know, I think our whole team feels that, and so there's days that are better than others, but then it just, the anger to sadness to back and forth, and I think it's going to be there for a while, and so we have to kind of I feel like I have to learn to live with it and move alongside it. We took the team to the funeral, and I thought that that was really powerful, and I'm glad that we did that. But I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Go to the right side.
Dave, Parker Ream with Fox 44 in Waco. You mentioned during those opening statements that this team is hungry and kind of vying for that respect. Where does that hunger come from? Is that from what y'all built last season, what you've been building these past few years? What makes this team so hungry?
I think there's a confidence in this team where I think there would be things that we would talk about. There would be things that would be, hey, here's a practice clip, or here is an example of it kind of happening somewhere else at some other school, for our team, our returners, to have gone through it and in big moments, accomplish the thing that they set out to do, to make the play, or to be in position and knock the ball down, or to get a sack, or to make a touchdown, or whatever it is. There's a grounded confidence now, and it's a whole different way of being. Whereas, prior, you're trying to prove it, you're trying to show it. Is it there? I believe it is, but is it there? And now to know that, we are that guy. I am that guy. I think that's a way, way different thing. And so leading from that space kind of can put you in more of an attack mode and more of a go take it mode. And so I think the hunger comes from that.
All right, we'll go to Jerry's.
Hey Dave, Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider. You got 4 starting offensive linemen returning. Seems like you have better depth too. How good do you feel about that group?
I feel good. It's the most depth of any team I've been a part of, and so I think the ability for guys to have to push themselves to improve and to be focused and detailed with their work every day is the best it's ever been, and it's because there's dudes right behind them that are pushing them, trying to take that job, and so I think that's true at every position. But I think, that's for sure true on the O-line. I think their aggressiveness and their ability to communicate are the 2 things that separate them. I think the style of offense and the double teams and the vertical movement and the play action.
Choosing your own path.
I am proud of you.
Wanted to ask about your running back room. I know you were just talking about the offensive line, but can you tell us what Bryson Washington and Dawson Pendergrass are going to bring to that room this season?
Bryson brings a downhill quality. He can finish runs at the second level. He's got great vision, and so there's an RPO read component to the majority of our runs, so the line's kind of firing out on Monday, and then on Wednesday he's able to kind of see the cut or see the crease or see the lane, and he doesn't miss very many of those, and so he makes his cut and he's off and going downhill, so there's a great separation between the play starting and the run occurring, and he uses that to his advantage. I think Dawson Pendergrass is one where there's a great patience, and he's slippery. It's hard to get a direct hit on him. I don't know if I've seen one on him. And so I think he also can benefit from the delayed, handoff and getting the ball and all the things, off of an RPO look. And so I think his ability to kind of stick behind an O-lineman, stick to a double team, and then, where is he, and then he shoots out in a C-gap. Where is he, and he shoots out in an A-gap. There's plenty of clips of him doing that. And so I think his best is yet to come. He's put on weight. He's the biggest that he's been. He's going to be more durable than what he's been in the past. I think his understanding of the offense has improved. And so I think Bryce and Dawson really feel really strong about a really effective 1-2 punch, and kind of is the heartbeat of our team.
Center right to the back.
Alyssa Cooper with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Coach, with the growth and the changes within the Big 12, how do you approach that when building out the long-term plans for your program?
I think you have to make a concerted effort to recruit high school players. I think it's, there's such a pressure to win. We were talking earlier is that you want to be the team that, 4 years from now is taking planes to games and not taking buses to games. You want to be in that group. I think everybody feels that. And I think the winning and TV views and all the things are kind of pushing the narrative. And so to be able to develop players and to have relationships with parents and with high school kids, and take them from one phase or one level to a whole other level. And I wish in doing that it would be like this, but a lot of it is like this. And so, with all the pressure to win and the money that's involved in winning, sometimes you feel like you don't have time for this, for an individual player. But to be able to make that time and to make that a priority, and then to still win, is what we're trying to do. And I think building a great high school relationships, or building through great high school relationships, can build a really strong freshman, sophomore, junior, senior class, and we're hoping to do that.
Time for one final question, center line.
Hey, Coach. Zach Smith, Waco Trib. You talked about trying to get some respect. In a league like the Big 12 that has a lot of parity, do you feel like Baylor is an underdog or is under the radar in any fashion? And are you using that as motivation at all?
No. Yeah. I mean, I feel. I think it's good to be so focused on what you're doing, and to be so maniacal about like getting it better and getting it right, and to be so hard on yourself that it pushes others to be hard on themselves. I think I would much rather it be so inward focusing that way than focused on what other people think or what other people are saying and all that. So I think from, my seat with this team, there's been a great emphasis on kind of what's happening on the inside. And so I'd like to continue to push that and see how far we can take that.
Coach, thank you for your time today, and good luck this season.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there's Coach Dave Aranda. The Baylor Bears, I think it was an interesting question from the guy from the Waco Tribune who goes, are you guys feeling like you're kind of floating under the radar a little bit? And I said it to you before he even said it. I go, absolutely not. Are you kidding? He's in Texas, dude.
Yeah.
He's in Texas. There's no version of you going in there and people expecting something less out of you than – listen, I'm going to tell you right now, there are fan bases here in the state of Texas. Texas and Texas A&M are in their own category. They're in the SEC. They're not in that category. But let me tell you what NIL and money and boosters and all that stuff has done for places like Waco, who have a lot of money, places like TCU, who have a crap ton of money and a bunch of big donors, and both of those programs have big success over the past couple of decades.
Texas Tech is now the story.
Tech might have the most money of anybody in the state of Texas, maybe except for Texas A&M. I mean, Texas, the University of Texas. Texas A&M has always been this team that is just like had money, and I think Texas Tech is that team now. I bet it goes Texas Tech, and then A&M when you start talking about dollars that are raised. And he said that, and I go, no, these fan bases who have so much money expect something so much more now. They don't give the money and then go, well, shoot, maybe one day we'll be good. It's like, you better use this money wisely, and if you don't, I'll actually personally make sure that you're out the door here. He's not flying under the radar at all. Everybody's expecting that they carry over that 6-game win streak into
They've won a Big 12 championship under Dave Aranda, right? So it's quite the opposite. It's like he's got to be feeling pressure to perform at a certain level, not flying under the radar. They're not under the radar. Cincinnati would be a team flying under the radar in this league right now. It's not Houston, maybe. Not Baylor. The expectations are too high.
Baylor, I don't think so. I mean, it's like asking TCU that question. You think you're floating under the radar? It's like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is a program that has had too much success in the last couple decades. People instead put you probably too much in the category of, I think they're ready to win.
Yeah.
But it also puts you at a spot, too, where the recruiting goes well. The talent level that they have at Baylor is increased so much more. They used to have such a hard time recruiting against even Texas Tech. I mean, but again, growing up here, TCU was terrible growing up, and they couldn't recruit against anybody in the South at all. They were competing with teams like UTEP and your FCS schools now. Or
BYU and Utah fans remember them from the end of the WAC days.
Right.
When SMU and TCU joined the league. It was like, they're a joke. Easy win, easy dub.
I remember my brother getting offers from high school, and the guy who played middle linebacker at his high school before he did got an offer to TCU and was like, oh, my gosh, don't come here. Imagine that, 30-plus years ago.
Yeah.
That's where those programs are at. TCU, SMU, Baylor, and I think Houston, I have no idea. And I think, again, money helps programs like Houston. There's no way that Houston, with the program like they have with basketball, they're in Houston, and Texas football in the state of Houston, Texas football in the city of Houston specifically is absolutely concentrated with talent. Yeah. Absolutely concentrated with talent. And so I can't imagine that Houston will be down much longer. But it's just another team that you add to the list of people you got to go through to be able to get a Big 12 championship. Teams like Utah and BYU are always going to be up against a lot of recruiting challenges.
You see all those logos on that wall right there. 16 teams. I believe 8 of them have a chance to win this, and the other 8 could make a case that they're being overlooked and that they have a chance. So a lot of good programs, a lot of good schools in this conference. We're just waiting for 1 or 2 to emerge as the flagship schools, the ones that are expected each and every year to compete for a national championship. That's what this conference is lacking.
Let's take another break here. We'll come back and we'll bring you as much as we can with these other interviews that are out there that we have from the podium and many others. So stay right here. Dialed into your Big 12 Media Days, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. JJ and Alex, stay right here with us.
Live from Frisco, Texas. This is the KSL Sports Zone coverage of the Big 12 Media Day. As we get you ready for the 2025 football season. Presented by Window World. High quality without high prices. That's the Window World way. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Big 12 Media Days continues live, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. As always, JJ, I know it's a shock. We're one of the first people here both days starting up on the radio broadcast, and we are definitely locking it down today. I don't see another live radio situation with headphones on that does the long...
They're sweeping. I think that means they want us to leave.
Well, what I was going to say was, so the people who left the booth next to us They tore up the tape, and they're like, all right, we're going to get the facilities people are coming around. They're starting to try to tear down stuff, and they're looking at us going, thanks a lot, guys. Because they got to keep we got to keep this cord here. I was like, can we make sure and not kick us off the internet here real quick?
Jeez.
Paid a little bit of a pretty penny to be able to broadcast.
Yes.
My guys, let's do it. Our program today, we want to mention, as we do every day on JJ and Alex, the Hercules Hero of the Week program is where we honor the youth sports volunteer in your neighborhood, the person who goes the extra mile for the youth sports in your hood, in your part of Utah, wherever it might be. We want to be able to bring it to you. And the way that you nominate that youth sports volunteer is by going to kslsports.com/contest. You nominate that person there, and then, JJ, when we're back in the seat tomorrow in our freezing cold studio in Salt Lake City, boy, I miss it. We will be reading off a winner for you. It's all brought to you by the good folks at Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. So there you go. Let's dive in here. Yesterday we had a one-on-one conversation with him, but his podium comments also very interesting too. To be able to hear from the person with the crown on the head, and by the way, he hates hearing that. I said, reigning champs of the Big 12, the coach of the reigning champion Big 12 Arizona State Sun Devils. He goes, I don't want to hear any of that. I don't want to hear any of that. Hey,
sorry,
I don't
Coach.
want any of that.
You earned it.
I don't want to hear that. They don't want to be talked about as champions or anything. They feel like they haven't done a thing. And with good reason, he even brought it up. He goes, look, we've got a history. Coach Kenny Dillingham, we've got a history of winning a championship at some point. He goes, people have gone before me. There have been people who won championships, and then that was it, and then they fell off. And I don't want to be that guy. And I feel like he's the guy who could pull off a long-term success. Here's Kenny Dillingham from the podium yesterday, Big 12 Media Days right here in Dallas, Texas.
Hey, Coach. Leo Rivera with Scope Up Sports. You were recently awarded the Frank Kush Award. What could you say about that and your involvement within ASU and your relationship at that school?
Yeah, obviously me being born and raised in Arizona, that's something I don't take lightly. You know, Frank Kush is the best coach to ever have coached there. And he was somebody that I think everybody who was in the coaching industry looked up to in some way, shape, or form, especially if you're in Arizona and grew up an Arizona State fan.
Okay, we'll go to center right.
Tyler Budge, CF Budge. Coach, when I spoke to you last year at Big 12 Media Days, you talked about how for a program looking to turn things around, learning how to win is a key aspect of that. At what point last year do you feel like something clicked where you guys learned how to win, and how do you hope that carries over for this season?
Yeah, I think, I go back to a game where we struggled in the first half, and then in the second half, we took the lead with a big touchdown. They came back with about 3 minutes and 45 seconds left. They scored. Then our quarterback goes in the huddle, freshman quarterback goes in the huddle and says, we're about to march down and score again. And Sam throws it to JT, touchdown. And it was a game where JT overcame adversity versus Kansas, and Sam showed that he can do it in the biggest moments. And I think that was one of the times that I said, okay, our offense can win games for us at the end. And then there were times on defense where at the end of the first half versus UCF, even though it wasn't the end of the game, we had a big-time pick six at the end of that first half. So I think throughout the season, all the phases affected winning, and it became contagious. But the fun thing is, last year has nothing to do with this year. When you're in college football, when you're in sports, you may as well throw the book out and you start from scratch. Everybody starts with the same record. Just some people get looked at more, and people play harder verse. So it's actually harder to sustain success in sports than other things.
We'll go center left, fourth row.
Hi, Kenny. Devil's Digest. Take us back to that first meeting you had in January and the team came from winter break. What was the main message you were trying to implore on them, and how do you feel they exemplified that message in spring practice and also off the field?
That it's over. You had your time to celebrate. You had your time where people are going to tell you how good you are. I showed all the things on the screen of all the tweets of you're really good and you're really good and what a year and everybody loves us. Then I said, okay, is everybody good? Has everybody read enough positive? Can we get to reality? And the reality is we're 0-0. The reality is there's been a lot of teams in college football who have done what we've done, who have won 1 year and then come back to reality. We really didn't do anything special. We did something that's actually normal we were just the team that accomplished that normal that year. What would be special would be to continue to build off of that. And that was the real challenge. How do we not become what normal teams in our situation do, which is fall back to where we've always been?
Front row.
Hey, Coach. Nick Hamilton, Nightcast Media. I wanted to ask you about Jordan and just what his development has been this offseason as he prepares for the upcoming season. And what have you seen change in him mentally as well as physically to prepare?
Yeah, mentally, I think Hines Ward coming in last year, I think JT has really taken what Coach Ward has said in terms of preparation and what it takes to be successful at the next level, and he's really embodied that. You know, he showed up, and now he's a guy who's early, a guy who's always getting treatment, a guy who doesn't leave the building, a guy who's always up watching extra tape. His preparation to be great is something that I'm super proud of, and because of that, he's gained over 10 pounds, and he's 1.5 miles faster than he was this time last year because he's preparing like a pro, and there's not anybody else better to show you what that looks like than a guy like Hines Ward at that position, a guy who embodies work ethic, a guy who embodies being successful over a long period of time. So I think he's really just leaned into what Coach Ward has said. He's bought into it, and he's gone all in.
We'll go center left, forefront.
Hey, Kenny, Scott Bordeaux, ESU News. Have you had a conversation with Sam about how to handle the attention that's coming his way? And second part of that question, how do you think he will handle that?
Yeah, we've had a conversation. I said, don't worry, everybody else will tell you you're good. I'm going to tell you you suck, right? So we can, be transparent there. I'll be the one to humble you. But no, in all fairness, Sam has such big dreams and goals for himself that anything he reads about isn't probably as big as the goals and dreams he has for himself. And I think that's what drives him, is he wants to be the best. So it doesn't matter what somebody writes, doesn't matter what somebody says. You're probably not dreaming as big as he is dreaming. And even though some people may hear him say things and you're like, oh, well, that's cocky, that's arrogant, or that dream isn't real, don't you want somebody to achieve the very best version of what they believe they can do? And if you don't believe you can do something, you're never going to do it. And I think Sam embodies that. His confidence is not cockiness because he works and he prepares and he loves it. So I love the fact that he's confident, and I think it's only going to fuel him to be the best version of himself.
We'll go center right in the back.
Hi, Coach. David Howman with Devils in Detail. On that same vein, with Sam Levitt being such a high-profile player coming into this season, being mentioned for Heisman consideration, how much do you embrace that side of things and kind of promote his Heisman candidacy while also not risking him reading too much of his own press clippings?
Yeah, I think, I know Sam, and I know that the press clippings aren't going to be relevant to what he wants to accomplish. So it's definitely somebody that we can get behind in making that push. And at the end of the day, we have a lot of guys on our football team that can win these individual awards. The only way you win an individual award is through team success. That's why football is so great. It's the ultimate definition of you pour into other people, and those other people lift you up more higher than you could ever do by yourself. And I think that's the message to our football team this year, is if people want individual success, if people want to reap individual benefits, then our team has to be the best version that we can be, because that's how you actually get those individual accolades in football, is through team success.
Here we go, fourth row.
Hey, Kenny, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Jarrett Ramirez from RedditorSports.com. You tweeted back in May that you 100% agreed Texas Tech had the talent to win the Big 12. I'm just curious for your thoughts on their team and playing those guys at your place this year.
Yeah, they beat our butt last year, and they added a lot of really good players to their football team. I mean, a ton of really good players. I mean, they probably had the best portal haul of any team in college football. Already on a good football team with a good football coach in a fun environment to play at. So people read into things I do. I just tell people the truth. So I saw a tweet I liked, and I'm like, yeah, they're right. They do have the talent to win the league. And I think anybody who says they don't have the talent to win the league is absolutely delusional. I bet if you ask Coach McGuire, his expectation is to win the league. And they've built a team to win the league, not to compete, to win it. So it's a great challenge.
Salt Lake Film Society asks, who will...
Fort Worth Star-Telegram. When Brian Carrington was here on staff at TCU, he obviously did great things recruiting, but he was always adamant he wanted to be an on-the-field coach. I'm curious, what did you see/know about him that made you want to give him that opportunity, and what type of impact has he made on the program since he joined you guys?
Yeah, he's smart. I think football is actually easy to coach. The hard part is the dynamics of the people, is being able to manage your room. You know, I could teach anybody how to coach, how to teach a thirds back pedal and how to middle and how to make a drive call. Those are simple things. What's difficult is understanding, leading, motivating people. That's the challenge. That's the job of a coach, is to get a player who gives effort at an 8 and get him to a 9.5. It's not to teach him all these schematics. The schematics are great. There's a minimum standard of what you have to know, and most people know them in the coaching industry. The great guys understand people, and he was a guy who always understood people. So I said, well, let's help him learn the game of football at a higher level, because I already know he can motivate, he can engage, and he can teach, and he can communicate. So let's help him on the side that I think is easier, which is football. Easier to teach somebody football than people skills.
Center left in the back.
Alyssa Cooper, also with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. So the Big 12 has grown and changed over the past couple of years, and I was just wondering, how does that impact the way that you recruit players in terms of the expansion and the level of competition that they'll be playing?
Yeah, I don't know if it affects how we recruit players. You know, we had a strategy when I got the job here to really recruit California, recruit Texas, recruit the state of Arizona, and then recruit a few other areas. But that was our strategy from the beginning. You know, I like to say Arizona is if California and Texas like mixed together. You kind of get Arizona that's just in the middle there. So if you're a Texas kid that wants to go out west, well, but you're not sold on living all the way out west, well, Arizona's the perfect spot. If you're a California kid who wants to go to the south, but you don't want to go all the way to the south, well, just come on over to Arizona. We're kind of that perfect in the middle grass. So that was our strategy in recruiting. They both happen to be, you know, 2 of the top 4, wherever you want to put them, states to produce NFL players. So I think we sit regionally right in a really good spot for both those schools. And us transitioning to the Big 12, we play more games in Texas. We're at Big 12 Media Days right now. We have 3 different kids' families, moms, dads, cousins, uncles here with them for Big 12 Media Days. So I think it's pretty cool to be able to come back to their state and really represent.
Again, if you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll go to center right.
Hi, Coach. Cody Nesper, Golden Blue Nation. Do you feel that the preseason poll hurt you last year? And what do you think about getting rid of it?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to like this answer. I could care less, and I'd have no clue. I'm not a voter, and I don't really care where people put us. Vote us first, vote us last, vote us in the middle. If we're so focused on other people's expectations of us, then you're going to limit yourself. Who knows? Are we supposed to win 6 games? Are we supposed to win 9 games? Are we supposed to go undefeated? Are we supposed to win 0? Who really knows? All I know is when we show up to work, we should be the very best version of ourselves. And if we compete in something, you better compete to win. And you better compete to be the very best version of yourself every day, over and over again, and you block out the noise.
We'll go 3rd row, center left.
Kevin Turner, Sun Devil Radio Network. Kenny,
former player.
100 years ago with leather helmets. Real quick question. I know you're a big self-scout guy. After the 3-win season, you acquiesced, you turned over the offensive play calling to Marcus Arroyo. What is next for Kenny Dillingham from a self-scout? What do you need to improve upon for the 2025 season?
Special teams is something we need to improve upon. You know, I want to be more aggressive. You know, we called a few fakes last year. They were successful. I think transitioning from an offensive coordinator role that coaches quarterbacks, you're never really involved in special teams, because during special teams periods, you're an individual with the quarterback. So one piece of my coaching, I would say, you know, knowledge, I was lacking in that area because I never actually worked in that space because I was always coaching quarterbacks and individual. So I think giving up play calling, getting into that world of special teams, I feel like I can help a lot more like I do on offense and defense. I can be way more involved in the special teams phase like I was at the end of last year. And one thing that I think is there for the taking is more fakes. I mean, I don't care if our opponents know it. Like, more fakes, the success rate of fakes are so high that more fakes need to be called on the punt team, on field goal. And I only think it helps your special teams as a whole. You just got to be prepared that when it doesn't work and you guys tell us how bad of a decision that was, you got to be okay to be like, yeah, that was dumb, right? Even if it wasn't, you got to be willing to accept it and take the blame for when it doesn't work.
We'll go center left.
Coach, how's it going?
Good.
Hey, having Cam Scattaboo last year was a great luxury. Now you got a whole different running back room. Just talk about the running backs that are here now taking over for Cam.
Yeah, obviously we get Sit back. He's bigger, stronger, faster than he was last year. He looks very good in spring ball. I was very pleased. Raleek Brown's a guy who showed up last year who had to medically redshirt because of a hamstring. He's back to full strength. He's also gained 20 pounds. He's about 200 pounds now. Showed up in our program at 175. So I'm very excited for what he can do this next year leading up. And then you got Udo, who obviously transferred in, who's transitioning to the spread offense or the pro-style spread from the triple option. So there is a learning phase there, but he grew and grew and grew throughout spring. So I think they all have a different skill set that they can provide to mitigate what we're losing in Scat, because not one person can replace Scat. His play style was so unique that you have to have multiple people replace him.
Welcome back. There you go. Kenny Dillingham. Don't you love that guy's attitude? Coach, I love how Brett Yormark and the conference and the rest of the conference, too, is able to apologize for, here's why we're making the decision to not have the poll. Because Arizona State got shorted last year. They were supposed to finish last in the conference, and then guess what? The poll put them so far down. That poll, by the way, it's just you and I talking about it. It's just this group of media people that are here. And then Kenny Dillingham gave the real answer. Actually, you're not going to like this answer. I don't care. I didn't look at it. I don't care. And I don't think so. And I don't know if
how did the preseason poll impact the league last year?
They didn't get a good enough look. They weren't ranked fast enough. Guess what ended up happening? They still ended up ranked 4th in the country when the college football playoff
BYU had every opportunity, if they just beat Kansas, to make it.
To
get to the Big
12.
Some dumb preseason poll, and I'm saying that as a member of the media, some dumb preseason poll does not impact that whatsoever.
Right. I agree.
There's been plenty of teams that were unranked that made runs.
There's Kenny Dillingham. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this hour, and then we'll get you ready. We've got tons still locked and loaded for you next hour. Coach Kyle Whittingham, Mark Harlan, and the newest quarterback of the University of Utah, Devin Dampier, are going to join us as well. That conversation we had earlier today. So stay here at 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
The 2025 football season is nearly here, and it's time to hear from all of the coaches and players. Yeah, boy! This is Big 12 Media Day, live from Frisco, Texas. Media Day coverage on The Zone is brought to you by Window World. Call Window World for free quotes on windows, doors, and siding today. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. Big 12 Media Days. Thanks for being with us on the last couple days of the broadcast. We've got lots to break down when we get back to Salt Lake City. Also got an hour packed ahead of Coach Kyle Whittingham, Coach Mark Harlan. Mark Harlan, the athletic director, and then Devin Dampier, the new quarterback for the University of Utah. Our program brought to you by the good folks at the Doug Smith brand of dealerships in American Fork, Spanish Fork, and in Linden. So check it out. Nobody knows cars like Doug. And Trajan Wealth, we appreciate their support always of the program. TRAJAN Wealth.com. Trajan Wealth for all your trusted local needs in retirement. JJ, takeaways from 2 days of mind-numbing, absolute, so many things to try to break down in the next 90 seconds here. What do you got?
Macro, this conference is in a good place, but somebody needs to step up and become a national force in order for this league to reach its full potential. Micro, I think BYU and Utah are in positions to have a great season. If BYU can get whatever decent quarterback play they need, they've got the defense. Utah, if Devin Dampier's a real deal and they can keep him healthy, they're going to do much better than 5-7 this year, and they could be a factor for a title.
I think he's a real deal. You know, it's good news for Utah too. He's going to be here this year. He's going to be here next year.
Right.
All things hoping that he's healthy, right? So,
and you see this year the amount of quarterbacks that are coming back and the impact that's having on those programs.
before we get out this hour, I want to thank Stone, our producer here on site, who's done a phenomenal job over the last couple of days. We've thrown a lot of love his way, but he deserves every bit of it. And then, of course, our producers all day long, Christian Esparza, our fearless leader, Lloyd Cole, and then, of course, Alex Napolis, who's our producer right now. So for all of them and for JJ and myself, Alex Kirry, we'll be back again just right around the corner. So stay right here with us, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.